Hello out there, the two of us. You got Max, and we are doing a constructed video? What? So normally we do a lot of limited round these parts, but we have been getting some pretty massive cries from you all out there about doing more constructed videos, particularly standard videos, because it's Arena. That's what you do. We're not doing modern, we're not doing legacy, we're not doing vintage, we're not doing EDH. We're doing standard because you guys dig it. Normally we start off our streams on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/Supraliminal on Sundays, and we're hoping to do a little bit more this coming year. 2019 is upon us, and we're going to try to do more on the twitch.tv/Supraliminal for all of you. We generally start off our streams with a couple games of standard because we want to try to get people in. You know, sometimes you get a straggler, you got to get that snack. Snacks. And whatnot, and you got to jump on. So we give people a little bit of time before we start the main focus of the stream, which is traditionally draft. But now that we've been getting more requests for standard, we're going to try to do that because we do what you tell us to do most of the time. Pretty much all the time, I think. So I wanted to follow in the suit of Dan in late 2018, who was doing some gameplay videos. I want to do a little bit of a deck tech and gameplay video kind of thing for my standard deck of choice right now, which is Golgari mid-range. I do think this is a very good deck with a lot of good matchups in the main. And I think that the sideboard is pretty darn good as well at kind of shoring up the style of the deck. Now, I will preface all of this gameplay by saying that I'm not a huge standard player. I built the deck because it looked fun and because I do like to play every now and again, but I'm generally not a big standard player for years and years and years. Now that Arena's come out, I've tried to dabble back into it. So bear with me. Well, you're going to see play mistakes. You're going to see sideboarding issues. A whole plethora of issues, I am sure. Leave it down in the comments below if you have a lot of experience with the deck, because I also would like to improve. But I think with Ravnica Allegiance coming out here shortly, it's going to be a deck we're going to see because this deck got all of its tools in Guilds of Ravnica. So I think out of the gate, this is going to be a player as well. So I think it's good to, at the very least, kind of know how this deck operates. What the way it's constructed a little bit, I think, is a smart idea. Now, I have made some concessions to this list from what a lot of people were championing because Arena's metagame is a little bit different. So I kind of want to review that now in the deck tech. For Land of War Elves, I was pretty staunchly opposed to this because of all the Explore, but it just ended up being necessary now that I've moved a little bit farther over in my curve. It's gotten a little bit bigger, so I want to be able to get those things down a little bit more quicker in turn order, so that's why the Land of War Elves are here. I do think they're necessary at this point. Seeker Squire is a one of. Merfolk Branchwalker, I'm going to jump over to Jade Light Ranger. That is our Explore package. It's 9 cards, and it kind of goes with Wild Growth Walker, who is quite good and can just generally, if this card can come down on 2 and you untap with it, as long as you have a follow-up Explore creature, you almost win the game on the spot against aggro decks, especially the dedicated very aggro decks. It blocks very well, it's very big, and it gains you a lot of life quickly. So if you go turn 2 Wild Growth, untap turn 3 Jade Light, it's really hard for the aggro decks to put you out from there. It's a very powerful package. Cast Down and Assassin's Trophy, I like a little bit of flexibility. I think there are times Cast Down looks kind of crappy, especially if they're playing a control deck and they follow up with like a Legendary Angel, or they play something on the legendary end of things. It's pretty good, but it's not always great, and Assassin's Trophy is just a nice catch-all, but giving your opponent mana in the early game is a bit of a drawback for sure, so I've dropped down to 1-1 there. We've discussed Jade Light. We have Thrashing Brontodon. Now, this is where the deck differs a little bit from the more recent builds, because a lot of people in Arena have leaned towards Selesnya tokens as a pretty strong strategy, as well as the Boros decks, which all run Conclave Tribunal, and this is a very good card at fighting that. And it also is really nice if you go first, your first turn Land of War Elves, second turn play the Brontodon. Against control, you can blow up their Sorceress Contest, so I like the flexibility of this card. Ravenous Chupacabra, we have 3 of those. I mean, this card does it all, right? There's no real explanation required. Single Golgari Frimebroker in case there's an oopsie and it lets us cast doubles of things. Vraska's Contempt, very solid removal spell. I like it a lot. Vraska Golgari Queen. I like having a Planeswalker against the control decks. The other deck I've seen a lot on Arena is Drakes, because it's a lot of commons and uncommons, because it's more of like a control combo kind of style. So she's very good at fighting against that type of strategy. Doom Whisperer, I have 2. I like him. I think he's quite good. He can come down turn 4, and you can just, if it's in the mirror or something, and they can't produce a removal spell or a way to deal with him, he can just take over the game right away. Vivian Reed is excellent across the board in control or decks that have any kind of flyers or lean on artifacts or enchantments. She's another good catch-all for your Conclave Tribunals and things like that. A little too expensive to deal with Searcher's Conto, which is why I still like the Brontodons as well. Find Finality, great set of cards here that can kind of do everything. And finally, we wrap it up with a single Carnage Tyrant. If I were to make changes to this deck, I would consider dropping maybe a Brontodon and maybe a Doom Whisperer to go up in the number of Carnage Tyrants I have. That would be the main change I would make. For the sideboard, I have 4 Duress that come in against control. Argyl's Bloodfast that can come in the mirror or a control deck. Helps play a long game very well. Cast Down if I need creature removal. Moment of Craving against the aggro decks. Another Assassin's Trophy as a catch-all just in case I need it. Golden Demise against the low-end aggro decks. Midnight Reaper is very good in the mirror. Deathgorge Scavenger, very good against the mirror. Anything that is trying to recur threats from the yard, it's quite a nice little trick there. Eldest Reborn is fantastic against control. And finally, Vraska Relic Seeker, also really good against control. So, as you can see, the deck has an ability to really morph based on what we're playing against. So, I quite like it. I think it's in a decent place. Like I said, the only change I would maybe make is try to increase the number of Carnage Tyrants, because I do think that card is really, really powerful. So let's go ahead and jump on some Constructed. We'll do traditional Constructed, and we will, or we can, I guess we can do a Constructed event, right? Try traditional play. What's in a, like, we'll play, I guess. I don't know what a constructed event is, so we'll find out if I click the wrong button or not. But it's traditional, which means you're going to play a best of 3, so that's really what I'm interested in. And we can jump across a few games till we kind of, get our poop pushed in, or we win a bunch. We'll see. This is for sure a mulligan. It does nothing. If they're on an aggro plane, they kick our butt. If they're on a control plane, we just don't pressure them in any way. This is a much more effective hand. I'm going to put that on the bottom because we don't really need it. I can't first turn Llanowar Elves with this hand, but I can second turn Llanowar Elves with this hand. It looks like we're against mono blue, which is more of a tempo-based deck. So we'll see what we can do here. I'm going to lead on the Woodland Cemetery. And we'll see what Dumbledore has for us. Leading out with the aggros. Okay. Go ahead and play our Llanowar Elf. Next turn we can Forest into Brontodon, then after that Vivian Reed, which will shoot down a lot of these flyers quite nicely. What we're trying to fade, obviously, is something like a Curious Obsession. They Surveil 1. Yeah, and they kept it on top. We got Jim Henson, so they're full-on blue evasion. Okay, Doom Whisper, quite a nice one. Really should have played Memorial to Folly there. There's a bit of a misplay. Like I said, there's going to be misplays abound, perhaps. We'll see, but opponent definitely trying to aggro us out here. Find Finality would be quite nice. Luckily, there's no pump yet, so we're just kind of getting chipped away at. Another Jim Henson here. Okay. What we really want to fade here is some type of counterspell. If they have a counterspell, they may be able to just win on the spot here. Because Doom Whisperer is not going to fart around. If one card to try to counter this spell, it has to be... I mean, Bounce could also do it. Obviously going to attack with Thrashing Brontodon. Because there's no drawback here to doing so. We'll see. Bounce would be bad. That's basically what's bad. Bounce would be bad. That's kind of the way to say it. We'll try to block the Night Veil Sprite. I think it's 2, 4, 5, 6. It's close. I may have to block Jim Henson, which is the Kitesail Corsair. Yeah, past the blockers, because I may just be under a little bit too much pressure here. Next turn, we get to potentially Vivian. Depends on if they tap out or not. Chances are they will Siren Storm Tamer to counter Vivian. But that gets another flyer off the board, plus the Doom Whisperer blocks another flyer. So we really have to be careful there. Fine Broker is a draw. Not an exceptionally good draw, but it's a draw. And we'll cast Vivian Reed. Again, I think we're going to eat a Siren Storm Tamer here. We're going to still attack with Brontodon, however. I do think we have to -3 here. The problem is they're going to be able to counter that spell with a Siren Storm, or the ability with a Siren Storm Tamer. So that's a bit bad. Oh, just a flat-out dive down. Okay. So we block 2, we go 4. I think we die here. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we're not dead yet. Yeah, we're not dead. We're close. But Mono Blue getting off to a good start. Definitely a deck I haven't seen yet. Just block another 2 power flyer. Find Finality is kind of our way out of this. That's about all we can draw, I do believe. Okay, nothing there. The other option is we can... well, that's not going to do it. Okay. I was going to say the other option is Wild Growth Walker would gain us enough we could block the 2, take 4. But the nice news is we have a lot of things we can board in here and a lot of things we can board out. I don't hate Golgari Queen. So I'm just kind of... I always like to, when I do a sideboard, is initially try to take out the things that aren't spectacular to me. Then go back in and try to deal with bringing in things I think are good. And then we'll take a look. 62 cards, so we have to remove 2 cards from the list still. I think Vivian's a little slow, so I'll drop a Vivian. Also, these came in weird, didn't they? That's a little bit more accurate of a curve. I like this because it's cheaper removal, but maybe it's pretty bad. Like paying 4 to Abrupt Decay may not be great. Yeah, I think that might be a little slow. That gives us 60. We'll see what we can do. That gives us a lot more interaction with their creatures. I will play first. I have a Wild Growth, 2 mana, and a Moment of Craving. I think this is a keep. We'll just pay. Sometimes I say good game, but then I think that people might read that as me being cocky. So after 3, I usually like to compliment the the game on 1, like good game, but we'll get down Wild Growth. I don't mind taking a hit off the Siren Storm Tamer. And I certainly don't mind drawing to Find Finality. I'm interested in kind of what they're bringing in against us. That's what I'm interested in. I'd rather get down these Wild Growths again. I don't mind getting attacked in the early game a little bit, I can Moment of Craving next turn if I need to. I can Vraska's Contempt, depending on how far they tap down. Like, I don't mind Moment of Craving on the Siren Storm Tamer to try to just take care of things. That was certainly a sound. Okay. Looks like we're going to go ahead and Moment this while we can. No harm in attacking with both. They get a free block on one. They elected not to take it. But they could have blocked there. Happy to draw an Explorer creature here, all of which we kept in. Happy to draw more removal. Happy to draw land, puts us closer to more removal. Okay. Alright. If I have a removal spell to play, which I do... Like, no reason to... I'm going to hold the reason I want to hold the cast down is because I want to be able to double spell, and that gives me an opportunity to double spell a little bit quicker. I'm going to take this out because it gives them the best way to find answers. It's some of the lesser damage, but again, we can attack for free here. Jim Henson won't block because this time it'll die, so we can hit. I mean, I don't mind taking 5 here. It's not a bad deal. We gain 2 life. Next turn, we might be able to Vivian Reed. What I want to do is keep them off the Storm Tamers because those are just flat-out counter spells. We know they have dive downs, which aren't the worst, but we want to be careful about kind of how we tread here. Okay. There's the Storm Tamer. That's kind of the card we want to deal with. Okay, they have double Storm Tamer. Okay, Golden Demise is a pretty absurd draw. That wipes away a lot of trouble. Alright, let's just hope they draw a little bit of a dud here. Oh boy, that was the opposite of a dud. That was the good stuff. Excellent draw. We will definitely keep that on top of our library. Gain 6 life here, and we cast down the Tempest Gym, which is why we kept the cheaper interaction. And we get to come in for 4. Excellent. That was an excellent draw. I don't know if opponent can beat us now. Jade Light Ranger is going to gain us a ton of life. I hope you have a counterspell. They may. Okay, they had the Essence Scatter. That isn't going to do a whole heck of a lot. Because our clock is now faster than theirs. Like, now if they want to stay alive, they have to hold things back. Which means we're in a very good position. Interesting. I don't know what opponent's holding. Okay, nothing. Whew. I think our configuration there looked pretty darn good. Now, I know opponent had the counterspell. I don't feel the need to bring in the duress. That's not what this fight... We're not fighting over them essence scattering. We're fighting over us being able to deal with their flyers. That is 100% what this game is about. And I think we have the tools to do it. Yeah, I don't see any need to really make a big change there. I don't know if opponent's just running with no sideboard, which seems a little... I guess the Essence Scatters probably came in off the board would be my guess. Opponent goes first. We have first turn Llanowar Elf. We have Assassin's Trophy, and we have the Wild Growth Branchwalker combo. So that feels pretty good. And we now drew a cast down. Feeling all right about this. Okay, favorable wins. Get down the Walker. Lets us hit for 1 with the Elf. Not the best thing in the world, but next turn we can Branchwalker, hold up. Fantastic. We get to kill another Tempest Djinn. I like that. Make sure I tap the mana right. Don't underestimate the little things, you know. Is Vivian good enough here? Yes, probably because we can cast her. And they're just fully tapped out, so there's no way to protect their Tempest Djinn there. And now we're going to kind of be able to take over the game. Because next turn's Vivian, which means they need a Siren Storm Tamer in order to stop Vivian from just capping a flyer. But now even Siren Storm Tamer doesn't do it. You know it's a bad deal when I'm paying 2 life to have this land enter the battlefield. Like, I do not care. They could have a dive down. That's possible. We did see that out of them previously, but I'm willing to make them have it here. Because if they don't deal with it, I get to find more creatures. Okay. No attacks. What's the follow-up? Curious Obsession on the Lookout's pretty good. And they went in at main, not Vivian. Because they can't really afford to, which is the nice thing. Let's go ahead and plus Vivian first. Give us the most options available to us. Chupacabra's a pretty good one. Chupacabra's a little mana inefficient, but so are most of our plays, sadly. So I'll go ahead and try to run out the dog. If they have the Essence Scatter, that's fine. Disdainful Stroke. Okay. So it looks like they had to dilute their deck a little bit to bring in a plethora of interesting counter spells to try to fight what we're doing. But keep in mind, it's 12 to 15. We have as many cards in hand as they do right now, and our spells are way more high impact than theirs. So we're just, I feel like we're pretty far ahead in a lot of ways. So Golden Demise, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no way we're getting to 10. Golden Demise really doesn't do much here, unfortunately, because it only impacts the freebooter. So let's go ahead and try to let Vivian again deal with one of these things. Okay, very good. That means this will likely land. Yeah, I don't think they can win now. I'll be a little conservative with my attacks here. But yeah, our hand is straight gas. Try to play this. Yeah, that puts us up to 20 again. Don't really even feel the need to have to Assassin's Trophy or find finality here. What does the opponent got? Sleep or something? Dive down. You got it. Okay, just wanted to show me that they had a card still. And that's the problem there with the blue aggro is look how much they had to bring in there in order to deal with the threats we had. They had to bring in a lot of stuff, and that dilutes the deck. I mean, now you're not playing your curve as nicely. Like, that just feels... I mean, like, on game 2, when they know they're going to be on the draw, I kind of support that. But then if you're going to be on the play, I feel like you just have to go for it. We'll play first. This is an okay hand. I like the double Branch Walker to give us game against aggro. The Chupacabra can even the score. We need another black source in order to do that, of course, but we have a lot of looks. So, I think it's a fine hand. I don't think it's a great hand, but I think it's a fine hand. Certainly a hand I'd never pitch. Not on game 1. Give him the hello and pass the turn. Pika Zomb _ PT. Got the hello back. Nice. I think that can go to the graveyard. Next turn we can Branch Walker plus Llanowar Elves. Potentially, we're walking into a Deafening Clarion that way, though. I think I'm just going to be conservative and play a Jade Light. That way I don't lose 3 things if they elect to Deafening Clarion. Okay, I just really needed the land there. So the nice thing if they don't have the Deafening Clarion here is we get to come in for a meaty chunk of damage. 6 damage is no joke. And they're definitely not casting a Clarion. Okay. Just going to be conservative and play a Llanowar Elf. Maybe? Man, it's hard to say. If Clarion's in here, they just wipe my board, though. Yeah, I guess, because then I can follow up with Vivian. Library, in case there's a Deafening Clarion. This just kind of forces them to have it. They have to tap out for it right now, and then I get to Vivian down Searcherous Conta if they tap out for it. Interesting, 4-color. Okay, there's the Clarion, as predicted. Alright, so let's Vivian. I get to take that out. And they are on Jeskai plus black, which is interesting. Thought Erasure, they know half my hand. Likely they'll stick with the Find Finality, because that is 2 cards. But they really need the Lightning Strike? No. Okay. Let's plus Vivian.
You can't stop nature.
We'll take a dog. Play a dog. I don't mind playing. In this match, you just kind of have to reserve the fact that Chupacabra is an overcosted 2/2 for you. Angrath. So -3, I assume, to get the Chupacabra. And then they'll attack Vivian Reed, which is fine. Then they have to give back the Chupacabra. And then we get to plus Vivian.
I've seen things that would break someone like you.
Get a Jade Light. Attack the Angrath. And follow up with a Jade Light. We can throw Llanowar Elves. It really isn't doing much for us. We'll play Swamp. And end the turn for now. It's debatable on the Chupacabra play. Okay, let's go ahead and Vivian. take a Thrashing Brontodon for sure. We'll try to resolve our Brontodon first. Okay, Canisters will not do it. Go ahead and blow this thing up. I think I'd rather save the Jade Light and just be a little bit more mana efficient with our Ravenous Chupacabra. You can see how much of a tough time the control decks have against Resolve Planeswalkers. Like, I'm just like, okay, deal with my creatures, I'm going to Vivien up. Like, whatever you want, I'll just do stuff. Chuck another Llanowar Elf. And we can Surveil as well. A lot, actually. You can see how much more we've churned through our deck, too, because of Vivien. Just not being able to answer Vivien is very hard for the control decks. Any Planeswalker, really, that does almost anything attacks the control decks on an axis, multiple axes, because we're attacking with creatures and we're attacking with gaining advantage off Planeswalker activations. It's very, very powerful. Don't necessarily know if I like cast on or Assassin's Trophy in this matchup. I do like all of that. I like that. I like this. And I like this. It's a tough one to say on that one. And maybe Doom Whisper's not quite good enough, but it gets around a lot. We can dump the Seeker Squire. We can dump a Wild Growth Walker. We can probably dump most of those, actually. Is there anything else really worth bringing in? We can bring a Midnight because it's a little bit more of an aggressively slanted creature. I'm not worried about gaining life in this matchup as much as I'm worried about just putting down threats that force them into action. And I think a Midnight Reaper does that a little bit more than a Wild Growth Walker does. But again, in the comments, let me know below what you think. Definitely interested in hearing that. Opponent goes first, where we can go Overgrown into Llanowar Elf into second turn Jade Light Ranger. I guess. I don't like to go down resources against a control deck if I can help it. Okay, let's pay 2 life and Llanowar Elf. Try to get casting things as quickly as possible against our 4-color control opponent, who's on all 4 colors, by the way. Forest. Jade Light seems good. I will keep Argyl's Bloodfast because that card's absurd in this match. Helps us fight on an axis of keeping cards. Same reason why if a Resolve Doom Whisper can activate a Surveil, we can actually fight cards, which is really, really powerful. Deafening Clarion. Alright. We get to Llanowar Elf plus Bloodfast, if it lets us cast it. Okay. Next turn we can Doom Whisper, depends on what they do here. going to go ahead and Doom Whisper. I just don't see a better line here for us than that. Then next turn we can get to trying to Branch Walker plus activate our Argals. I'd rather run them down, right? I'd rather run them down on resources than just let them have a flat-out Chemister's turn. Because that's going to be the turn that's going to be tough for us. If I can add threats to the board plus Argals, that's great. But if I just let them, like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and... let's go ahead and Branch Walker first. See what our Explorer gets us. So let's go ahead and go to combat. No reason not to combat here. And again, we'll find here 2 fairly powerful threats. And then they know they'll have to do that again next turn if they elect a counter spell here. Okay, great. I'm happy to hold them off Chemisters when we have an Argals plus more Find Finalities coming down. And you can see how good Find Finality is in this match. Not so much the finality half, but the find half is fantastic. It just keeps forcing them to have something. And I'm going to try to Jade Light. They may have a Deafening Clarion in their hand, so they may be able to Chemisters into Deafening Clarion. If that's the case, that's the case. You just, that's certain things you can't play around. So I could be just a Cleansing Nova. I'd be happy to have them tap out for a Cleansing Nova here. Whoa. Settle the Wreckage? I'm kind of fine with that. I'll leave the Llanowar out of this, but I will throw in the 2 creatures. Alright, so let's go ahead and cast Biggin. Because if we do, at the end of their turn we can Argals. If they counter it or whatever, at the end of their actual turn we can Argals. Likely they may have a Cleansing Nova here and we're waiting for that Doom Whisperer. Again, I'm okay with them tapping out for it. We get to Argals. Not a big deal. We have the Memorial to Folly in play. I mean, we can do a lot of things in response to this, which is really nice. That's actually kind of fine. We're given a little bit of information with this move, but I'm fine with that to force them into having something right away. I mean, like, right again, we just smashed 7 power onto the board. So those are all really powerful moves. Ross's Contempt is fine. Searcher's Content, not quite as fine. Like this Doom Whisperer, I'd like this Branch Walker. And the nice thing you can see here, what we've done that I think is very powerful, is we've been super mana efficient every single turn. We have used every part of the Buffalo in this match to keep our machine churning. At no point have we given them a turn where things be like, crap, I have to tap out for a Chemisters. We've constantly been forcing threats on them. This is a fantastic card. Again, Resolve Planeswalker, very hard for our opponent to deal with. This is probably going to be the least mana efficient turn we have, but if they have a counter, that's fine. Nope. Happy to get rid of Search for Escanta here before it can flip. And then we get to do this, so not quite as mana as inefficient as I was afraid if they countered the spell. So if this library's fine, means we get to double creature next turn. Triple creature counting Vraska if they can't deal with it. They're down to 1 card in hand. I don't need to do anything else. I'll hold up Argyl's Bloodfast activations, because I don't want to just throw more creatures down. Ritual of Soot is fine. We're still winning. Okay, yeah! Alright. Nice and neat. The way I like them. But you can see how flexible this deck is. It was really good, and I think it's going to be a nice contender out of the gate. And initially for Constructor, because it's just a really flexible build. It does a lot really well. We haven't seen a bad game yet, and granted, there are some bad ones. But, you know, I'm pouring water, not peeing, just so you all know. I have ice cubes, and my water was getting warm, so I poured it into the glass near the microphone. Wasn't peeing. Just want to make that clear. Just peeing my pants on stream. Or on stream, on recording. Let's see what opponent does. Likely be on the play here. Opponent is in fact going first. Double Llanowar Carnage Tyrant. We'd almost cast it. I think it's worth a keep. If they're playing aggro, this will be a little bit of a struggle, but it's pretty good hand otherwise. Okay, definitely not definitely an aggro deck. I'll backpedal that a little bit because it could certainly be Jeskai control. It looks like just the mono white. Okay. Just debating on what axis I want to fight this on. I think the best thing is going to have this just enter tapped. Play this. Attack for 1, which they almost assuredly will not block, and pass it along. Benalish Mashal. No blocks. Okay. It's a little less mana efficient to Chupacabra here, but it also lets us leave up a blocker. And taking care of a Benalish Marshal is a huge deal. It also gives them worse targets for their Conclave Tribunals. If I just run this out, they Conclave Tribunal and attack. Not quite as strong. Like, they're on Rustwing Falcon? Like, okay, you got it. Rustwing Falcon. Sure thing. But what's also really nice is how diverse Standard is, right? Like, this is our 3rd match, and we didn't play the Mirror. We've played just some really diverse offerings of threats. It's been really cool that we've played against 4-color control. We played against mono, blue, aggro, and now we're playing against the white weenie deck, if you will. So, pretty neat accompaniment, or assortment of things. And Carnage Tyrant, very hard for them to deal with. They're going to spit out a lot of creatures. What we got, opponent? What's there to think about here? Swing in the Chupacabra. No reason not to. And we have a lot to to follow up with here. If they try to vomit creatures out, we can just find finality and keep our Carnage Tyrant big and just get through a lot of stuff that way. There's a lot of options for us here. Well, it depends really kind of what they do. They can't Conclave Tribunal our Carnage Tyrant, which is nice. What do you got for us? And generally they play, if we're following LSV, they'll play a single Settle the Wreckage out of the side, so we don't really have to worry about that either. Okay, they're going for the I have to win, which is totally reasonable. Okay. We can Vivian here, which I think may be better than trying to line anything else up. Just go ahead and Vivian and destroy their creature with flying. The less creatures they have on the board, the less threatening they can be. Okay. We're in pretty good shape here. They have another Heroic Reinforcements. That's not quite good enough. Benelish Marshal, not quite good enough. I don't think any one card is quite good enough. I think they're just going to snag Vivian here. Again, not really quite good enough. This just leaves them pretty much dead on board because they take 5 and trample. Sure, I'll block 1. And that's the game. All right. Excellent. Game 2. What is bad against the Boros deck? Probably just single expensive threats. Vivian. Are you good enough? I don't think so. Let's bring in this Cast Down, this Golden Demise. Trophy's fine. And all these Moment of Cravings seem quite good. Maybe Death Gorge. Seems like kind of a bad blocker. Just needs to drop one thing. It's a tricky devil. I mean, it could be just Vraska is kind of an expensive, again, an expensive Abrupt Decay. Yeah. Let's try that configuration. That seems pretty solid. Seems like we attack on a reasonable axis here. Oy. Opponent goes first with 2 cards. I think we have to mulligan. Healthy. Definitely like that. Opponent had to do the same. We will top that because we can cast it. I think we do have to Llanowar Elf on the first turn. Second turn we want to cast that Wild Growth Walker. So is that first strike? But I still won't block it no matter what. Okay, they didn't even bother. Okay. Alright. This could get Conclave Tribunaled. That is entirely a reasonable line to take. Healer's Hawk still could be the case. They're hovering over the stuff quite a bit. Yep. Totally a reasonable line to take, because that card can straight up lose them a game. Okay, not a bad deal. Oof, the bad news. We cannot cast our Chupacabra. Okay. I just wanted to ensure that I could hit double counter on that Ranger. I'll give up the ability to get another card to do that, because next turn we can't double spell, but we can cast our Chupacabra, which can take the Hulk out of the sky, can take the Sky Marcher Aspirant down, which are all pretty good options. So we'll see kind of where it goes from here. But we definitely need some resources. A little tough to have to give up an extra look at a card for the counter, but a 4-3 is so much better on this field than a 3-2. And you can kind of see that now, that they're going as far as to get rid of that Jade Light. That's how much of a speed bump that card is. Okay. Couple options now. Because the ground guy, most of their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One card they have to produce 2 permanents with. I think it's worth Wild Growth into Branch Walker here over Chupacabra. That's going to put us back up to 17. No attacks. Alright. They produced 1 permanent. Alright, they gave themselves City's Blessing there, so the Aspirant goes into the sky. Very big piece of information for us. Let's get first strike. Okay. Immediately, is it first strike? I think I have to take out the Aspirant over the Benelish Marshal to try to stem the bleeding here. We are at 12. We're getting there. We're battling back. With double Memorial Folly, even lands are pretty good here. So I'm not too concerned. Okay. Now we get to take out Benelish Marshal. Okay. We're starting to get somewhere. Our cards, for the most part, are a little bit higher impact than theirs. Well, that was an insane draw. I will say that. Because that's going to double explore. And we get to crash in for a bunch here. Not bad. I don't want to go too deep, because if they play heroic reinforcements or something, that's not great for us. But right now, it just feels like we're way ahead. Yeah, we're about to do this again. That's nuts. And we can activate the Memorial end of turn. Yeah, the Explorers are good enough that... This is pretty crazy. You can see how quickly we managed to turn that one around. End the turn, we'll activate our Memorial end of turn. And we'll get back to Thrashing Brontodon, which should put this game away. Okay, opponent realizes it and scoops him up. Got there. Solid 3-0. Pretty diverse offering of decks. And I think it pretty much follows the thesis statement that I had mentioned early on, that man, this deck is just, it's a pretty good set of options, right? Like, it just kind of is diverse. It doesn't feel out of it in any game one. It really feels like it's got a lot of gas on the sideboard. I don't know if I don't know. The mana is good enough that this deck will likely turn into maybe a Sultai, maybe a Jund kind of deck. But I think just as a core, this is a very good core for a deck. It depends on, like, if we get a Rakdos Planeswalker or something along those lines, right? At this point in time, I haven't seen the full spoiler yet. It's not out. But there's a lot of options, a lot of exciting things that could happen with this deck. But as a core, I think it's very, very good. I think this configuration for Arena is pretty strong. I do think the Doom Whisper is a little and I think Golgari Queen could possibly, any number of these could maybe become more Carnage Tyrants, because Carnage Tyrant is just such a hard card to answer for a lot of these decks. So there's a lot of options. Let me know in the comments again what you think. If you want to see more Arena content, we are streaming it on twitch.tv/superliminalfilms every single Sunday, and at least one other day a week is our hope. We're getting into live Magic streams. If you like Commander/EDH, we are going to be live streaming that as frequently as we can. So if you want to see it, just make sure you hit us up on our social medias. We're Superliminal Films all over the socials. Look for us there, and you will be able to let us know, hey, give me some more of that good stuff, and we will do that. If you're here with us on YouTube watching this, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and that'll let you know when we put up a new video. We put up new videos every single Thursday. We do a mix of film stuff. We do a mix of game stuff, board games, all kinds of stuff, because we're big gaming and film dorks, and we love to share our love with you. So until next time, cast more spells.